Hi there, Zam here for NerdTube, and these are my thoughts and spoilers of Star Trek Prodigy, Season 1, Episode 5, The Kobiyashi. Now, my god, this episode was packed, and I bloody loved it. Even though this show is made for kids, I'll tell you what, this was the most adulty fan service episode any young kid like myself, I apologize, old kid like myself, could ask for. And I was smiling, beam to beam, ear to ear, because there's so much shit in this episode. Not just these people here you can see, but also what we got at the end of this episode too. And we got some story development during the course of the middle of this episode, not just the fun bits with Dal learning how to deal with the Kobiyashi Maru test. In this episode, our crew have obviously escaped their abductors, and now they're deciding what to do. One of the things they want to do is to join Starfleet. Everyone, barring Dal, wants to join Starfleet. Dal thinks that they're going to be captured and thrown into jail again, and the cycle is going to repeat itself of what happened to them previously. And even though everyone has voted on this, Murph hasn't, and when they find Murph, he is on the holodeck freezing his ass off. Janeway introduces them to the holodeck and tells them they can do anything they want. Anything. And one of the things they want to do is the Kobayashi Maru test. Now, unbehold to Dal, he doesn't realize that the Kobayashi Maru is a test that you can't win at. It's only there to basically test would-be captains to see how well they perform under pressure. Now, Dal is determined to pass this test, and he keeps failing. And his crew is an sum of various Star Trek characters from previous shows. Now, some of them were in unusual positions, but I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is Uhura doing piloting a ship? What the hell is Odo doing piloting a ship? But nevertheless, they were there. I mean, as we all know, Odo's a security officer, Uhura is a communication officer. I'm sure they know how to pilot a ship, but they're not pilots in the sense of what we see them do in Star Trek. First officer is Spock, medical officer is Beverly Crusher, and then even Scotty joins the fray as the chief engineer. And it's unusual. It's really unusual because we have Scotty from the movies, but we have Spock from the original series, and Uhura from the original series, even though all three of them were part of the original series. But nevertheless, let's just go with it. And Dal, he does fail on many occasions. Eventually, he does come up with an ingenious way of dealing with these Klingons in this Kobayashi Maru test by deafening them with loud rock music. And it almost works. Almost works. But Dal's arrogance kind of gets to him, and unfortunately, he ends up destroying his own ship. Now, we also cut to other elements of this episode, and we find out the origins of Gwen. You see, Gwen and her father are the last two species of their race, and we cut to a flashback scene of 17 years ago when Gwen's father was basically on a walking stick and he looks like he's dying and he needs an heir. Now, there's nobody for him to mate with, so instead of having an offspring, he decides to make a clone, which is Gwen. Now, it's very interesting. We'll see where that goes into the future. And we also have Murph as well. He decides to eat explosives, and Rock Talk is kind of wondering what the hell's going to be going on with Murph eating explosives. But fortunately for the crew, nothing really happens. Murph, being the sort of indestructible bit of jelly that he is, he ends up just belching these explosives, and no harm comes to anybody. And talking about jelly, we have Dal calling his crewmates, these holographic guys here, as you see next to me, a variety of unusual names. He calls Uhura Earpiece. He calls Odo Jellyman. He calls Spock Pointy Ears. He calls Beverly Crusher Big Red, and he calls Scotty Mustache. I love it. I love it. This kind of harken back to a little bit of Lower Decks to a degree. And as I said earlier, he almost passed the test, but his arrogance made him fuck it up. And there was a moment between him and Hologram Spock where Spock tries to teach him a few things, and it's really unusual with the way Spock was delivering his dialogue as well, because I don't know if they were using an impersonator or if they were taking snippets from Leonard Nimoy from previous films and using that for his dialogue. It was really hard to tell, but nevertheless, he kind of tried to inspire Dahl a little bit. Gives the Vulcan sign like that. Dahl gives him a high five on it. Loved it. I loved it so much. It was absolutely fantastic. This episode ends with a revelation. You see, Janeway earlier on in this episode tried to understand her origin, so to speak, like the protostar. What was it? What was its purpose? Where did it come from? And these particular memories, this particular data has been classified. Eventually, the crew they decide to hack away and try to find out what the hell's going on. And then we finally see a clip of a hologram recording of Chakotay, who's now become Captain Chakotay, and he was a captain of the Protostar. And Janeway, I don't know if she was the hologram version of it, that is, was his first officer or just an assistant. But hologram Janeway was there to help Chakotay when he was captaining the Protostar. And something had happened, I don't know exactly what, but this obviously leaves a dun 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 moment, like, okay, what's going on here? You know, Chakotay being captain. Wow, that's just bloody amazing. And Janeway being the holographic assistant, a bit like how the Doctor became, emergency, commander hologram in that episode of Voyager. I guess they kind of took that with Janeway and made it more of a permanent thing. Instead of having a first officer, you got a hologram. Who knows? But nevertheless, it was a bit of a jaw drop moment. And my God, the fan service is really real. We had nearly everybody from every era of Star Trek in this episode, and I fucking loved it. We had original series characters, we had TNG, we had DS9, we had Voyager characters as well, excluding Janeway in the sense of Chakotay. It would be nice maybe to throw in an Enterprise era character as well, but maybe we're asking too much. Maybe a Discovery era character too. Who knows? But we've not Michael Burnham because she's in fucking everything. But yeah, still, this was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this show, it might get a bit of a bad rap from some Star Trek fans, but they can't be hating on this episode. This was fantastic. I was smiling so much. It was very funny, very enjoyable. And young and old, they should really appreciate this episode. And Dahl, hopefully, he's learning a few things about, growing up and taking responsibility, especially after doing the Kobiyashi Maru test. And we'll see where this goes for him in the future. Nevertheless, regarding the future, let me know with some comments below what you think of this episode. Do you think it was good? Was it fun? Did it make you smile like it made me smile with all that fan service? And boy, did we get some. Some people complain about fan service, but when it's done right like this, there's nothing to complain about. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye-bye.